Hello and welcome to another tutorial, and it's going to be a watch me work. We are going to build a plugin from scratch for Final Cut Pro 10. Now if it's all gone well and to plan, you'll be looking at it right now, because what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll overlay what it looks like once it's finished and polished and I've found all the mistakes I know I'm going to make. And I've called it Text Panel Flip, and I think that's going to be fairly obvious why it's called Text Panel Flip. And hopefully it looks good. You've got the benefit of that. I haven't, because we're about to start it. So let's do that right now. But before we do, just a word, please subscribe, leave a comment and a like. It all helps with YouTube, and it kind of keeps these things going as well. So if you could do that, that'd be great. Right, let's fire up Motion. Okay, we've got Motion opening. Sometimes, I don't know if you've noticed, but I think Motion, every time I open it, I think it slows down. It used to be really zippy. I don't know what happens, but see, we've got a bit of beach balling going on. Okay, right, now what are we going to make? We are going to make a plugin that's got text in it. So better to use the title, as we've said. And why the title? Because you've got access to the text controls without having to publish them. If you do it on an effect or a generator, then you have to publish each of those text controls. It's a pain in the butt. You don't get access to the 3D stuff either. So over here right now, we're going to have a look. 29.97, that's absolutely fine. In HD 1080, that's fine as well. Remember, I've said that it doesn't matter what size you make this in, really, above 1080, because it'll all scale if everything included in it is a vector. As soon as you've got anything like a picture, it'll rasterize, but anything that's made out of vectors text will all scale, more or less all scale. Also, I didn't realize this as well. If you're doing HDR, it actually pushes the HDR through as well. There's no setting for HDR in here. Okay, so we're going to go broadcast 1080, 29.97, that's fine. And we are going to call this, what are we going to call it? 300 is too much right at the moment. Let's call that 100. And I'll explain why in a while. Okay, we have our normal Shift Z to get that full size in there. And if you've watched one of these before, you know what I do. I tend to delete the type, and then I make that background. Yeah, and I just leave that, because I always find, as I said before, if you want to clone that, it's easier just to have it on the bottom, and you can just go and clone it without it being hidden up inside a layer somewhere. Right, let's have a new group. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to have a color solid. Now, it won't be a color solid, or will I draw it? Now, that's a good question. I think it might be a color solid generator. Okay, let's have a color solid generator. Color solid down here, and I'm just going to drop that in there. Yep, that's fine. Now, first things first, we are going to want to publish that color, because we are going to see that in the plugin. Don't have to add it to a rig or anything. Publish project. There we go. So that's the color of the background. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to either move the whole thing up, or I'm going to resize it, or I'm going to crop it. Now, that is a good question. I could just bring it down with width. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the thing to do, is to bring it down. That'd be 1080. Yeah, and then bring this one down as well. Now, I'm actually after something square to start off with. So that is the right height. And it'd be 540. Remember, I keep saying about all the different dimensions. You come across them so often. 540. There we go. That's nice and square. That's what I want. First things first, I'm going to hit save. And we're going to call this Text Panel Flip. Get the capitalization right, because one of my friends, when he saw this, he went really bananas because I got one of the letters the wrong case. I did fix it in the end, and this is going to go into XEffects free theme, XEffects free, publish. Okay, and I'm going to hit save again on there. Okay. Now, if I'm going to rotate that, it's going to rotate about the center. So I need to have a play with the anchor. So now, am I going to anchor the group or am I going to anchor the color solid? I'm probably going to anchor the color solid maybe. So let's say, no, but then again, I'm going to be putting text in there, aren't I? So no, I need to anchor the group. So we're going to change the anchor point, and that's going to go up to there, which you think half of 540 is minus 270. Everything's bang on pixel, but that means I do have to bring the Y down by 270. No, wrong way. So that's minus 270. Bring that back down there. Now, so when I rotate that around the x-axis, we have the flip. Yep. That's what I wanted. Bear in mind, we've got no camera, no lights or anything yet. Now, in there will be the text. So let's put some text in. And bear in mind, because I've moved this down to 70, then if I put the text in, maybe I need to reset that back to 0 to put the text in. Oh, let's just go ahead and do it, shall we? Text on here. Insert your text here. Looks like I'm stuck on the Helvetica bowl from a previous plugin, maybe. Okay, let's just pick that up on there. And we need to do a bit of line spacing, don't we? Squish that all up, a bit more size. There. Yeah, and that's all ranged on the left because most of you are going to read it from the left as well. Okay. Haven't got anything published there because, as I've said, all these items do actually go into the tab in Final Cut Pro 10 when you publish them. So let's just double check that. Let's go save. And let's go open Final Cut Pro up. I did actually start a little project before I started doing this. And if I go free, got this one left over from the previous one. Text panel flip on there. And you can see we've got, that's fine. But we've actually got this access to all the text information on here. You don't get that when you do a generator. Okay, we've got the color. Is that going to work? Yes, of course. Undo. Okay. Right, now this is where it gets interesting because we're going to actually put a rotation in. But I'm going to put a build in and build out marker because it'd be good to rotate the thing, but also have the option not to rotate it. Now the problem I've got here is that it's lit, but it's 3D, and I need to, when it flips over, I need to change the text, and it's just trying to work out where to do that, because if I've got this rotating on the X, the group, so I think the text needs to change there, but if I put a camera on it, because it's going to be below the middle of here, you're actually going to see some of the text. So I think, I think the plugin's going to have to start there and swing up to there. You can see the text through there. You don't want to really see the text until it swings up. Okay, we're going to have to sort that out as well. So maybe we have to offset that very slightly by just a pixel or two forwards in space with the camera. Okay, now do I want to use a camera or do I not? Oh, that's a good question, isn't it? Okay, now can I add a light without a camera? Yeah, you need to switch to 3D. Okay, let's switch to 3D. And we quite like that. It's not going to be a point, I think it's going to be directional. So when we move this, in X, it gets dark. And it goes completely dark there, look. It's interesting. And why does it do that? You thought it'd be in 3D, wouldn't you? It's because, oh, I know why. Because we're going through the background, aren't we? Oh, yeah. Yep. No, well, I could be right, I could be wrong. What's the best thing? Let's turn it off. Yes. Okay, so it's going nice and dark. I like that. And it comes back up. And because we've toggled it to 3D, it means that the text isn't on the front here when we swing this round. So I like that. And also it's going to go quite dark there. So that's going to be the swap over point from there. So it swings up. Yeah. Okay, let's put that in there. Okay, I like this, and I've just had a big sip of tea, so I'm ready for the next stage, which is a lot harder, and that's the animation. Now, one thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take off this position, because I think this is confusing me slightly on there. Right, I want this box to be able to grow, so go to color solid, the generator, and you've got the height and width there. Now, we're not going to be directly altering the width. You can do that. We can just publish that. That's absolutely fine. In fact, I'll actually do that now. But the height we are going to put into a rig, and I'll show you why. Okay, so let's go to rig, continue rig, new slider, and let's call this box height on there. Now we know this box can go maximum 1080 on there, so the range maximum 1080 on there, and it's going to go up to 1080, down to 0, down to 0. Actually goes down to 1, doesn't it? It can't go any smaller. 1080, down to that, okay, and we'll put that on 540, and we've got this grid which is all nice on there. You can actually adjust the size of these grids, by the way, in the preferences. Now, what else are we going to add to this? We need to adjust the anchor point, because if you see the anchor point is on the middle there, and we want the whole thing to be up at the top. So I think the anchor point, yep, color solid, let's go over to properties, and the anchor point is going to be on Y. Add to rig, add to box height, yes. Oh, look, let's change that as well, just for my friend, because he gets really annoyed when I don't do things properly. Okay, box height. Now that's going to go possibly from 0 to 540, moving it. So from there it's going to move when it's just a thin line. It's going to be in the center. Would that be right? So down to there, 0, and then up to there is going to be minus 540. Remember, I always keep saying that these, and that looks right actually, doesn't it? Look, there you go. Yep, I've done that. That's not bad for a first go. So let's just change that box height, and we go down. That is absolutely right. Okay, well, we've done that. Well, that's rather good. Obviously, we need to move the text up. So let's put that on 540. On there, and then, no, 540, my mouse has just moved when I did that. 540, and then should we move the text up, or will that get cut off, or should we move the box down? That is a good question. I'm just trying to think, because it's centered. I reckon we should probably move the box down a bit. We are going to do the anchor point on there, so do we need to move the anchor point at the same time? Is it all just going to be minus 270? I think it's all just going to be minus 270. Is that right? So if I move the group down minus 270, and then the anchor point is going to go up to there, then that's wrong. Oh, okay. We had it right to start off with. Okay. So do I just need to move the whole color solid at the same time? That's probably what I need to do, isn't it? It's just minus 270. Would that be right? Minus 270. Now what happens if I do the box height on that there? That grows. And hopefully if I keep that on there. Oh, okay, so now the whole thing, the anchor point is actually wrong on the whole thing, so that's right. So if we move the anchor point minus 270 and then move the whole thing down minus 270. Now we should have the box height growing. Yeah, let's put that high. And here's the proof of the pudding, is when we come to do the rotation on the x-axis, the whole thing swings. Yay. Oh dear, it's a bit of a struggle, wasn't it? Okay, back to 540 on there. We call that box height, so we can publish that. Project, go to the project, box height. Yep, put that up there maybe. Box width. Remember we published the width, because it doesn't really matter on there. That could be as big as you like. But we've kept that 540 just to keep that thing as a nice square, because it looks, the design of it's quite good. Okay, so we've got the height, the width, and the color, and we know we can rotate that box around the x-axis, which will always sit on here. Good. Okie dokes. Next bit is rotating, which is, that's not the anchor point, this rotation is this one here, isn't it? It's on the x-axis. So the idea is it flips round and then you see the text. So we can change the text anywhere around here, but we actually want that to go dark. So it's minus 96 on there. If I, yeah, you see, you're going to see a bit of it going around, but because it's going to be the back, it's going to be, you're not going to see it. So I need to ramp that in from minus 96. Or possibly start it off with, because when you move it up, you're actually going to see that, aren't you? Okay, let's turn that off and then just push this. Yeah, oh, it's dark, isn't it, around there? So you don't see that. And then it goes back there. You should be all right from 90. I reckon be able to change that from 90. Okay, 0. Now, the question is how to do this with a ramp or keyframes. And I'm kind of half tempted to do a ramp and then cheat with the ramp, because with the ramp you get really nice acceleration and deceleration on here, and then just to offset the ramp so that it goes to 90 on the back here. So what I'll do is let me add a ramp on here. Library, go to behaviors. And we're going to find the ramp, which is in parameter, ramp onto the group on there. And we're going to set this to properties, transform, rotation, and it's going to be X. So we're going to start at minus 90, but we're going to do a full 360 and then cheat the beginning of the ramp. Bit hard to explain. We're going to push the ramp off the beginning of the thing. So right end value is going to be 360. The idea is you're going to be able to, let's bring this down because it's only going to last for, of course it's going the wrong way, isn't it? Right, minus 360. And that's obviously too quick. So let's put that up to about 30. And then we'll work out, I reckon that's probably about right, actually. Quite like that. Now this ramp, what I'm going to attempt to do, if that's 30, then the mass is probably going to work out. Somewhere along here. Oh, look at that, it doesn't do it. Maybe if we exchange by frame. There, when we're there, put a marker on there. And then duplicate it. I don't know if this is going to work actually. So this is the in and then that's the out. So if I Alt, I'm just going to copy that. I can't drag that. So let's duplicate that and call one of these ramp in and one of these ramp out. Okay, so ramp in. push that down there. So ramp in is going to be that bit, and we put that down to that mark. So it starts there and ramps in. Then ramp out. I'm going to cheat by doing that, ramping out. It needs to come forward one. Beautiful. Now this ramp, I want the acceleration. So the curvature you put up to 100. 100. And because you've done that, we don't see the acceleration. Okay. Another mistake. Okay. So let's go forward a frame. 2, 3. Push that. 1, 2, 3. No. Do you know what? I'm going to go back. Undo, 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 undo. Take that off, and then I'm going to put the acceleration, the curvature on there. So I can actually see where it goes. And it's there, isn't it? Because it's going quite fast. Okay, on there. Try again. Put a mark on. Duplicate that. Let's ramp in. And that's ramp out. Congratulations if you're staying with us. So ramp out. So ramp in is going to be from there onwards. Yeah, and then ramp out. It's going to be what we saw before. That. So we go in and out. Now it's just looping like that because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a build in and build out marker. Now a build in and build out marker are really clever, but I mean this is actually quite long there as well. I don't want, actually if it's static it doesn't matter, so I can put a marker, add marker and go edit marker and go build in, optional, okay, and then at the out maybe I'll just put one frame on there, add marker, edit marker, build out, optional. So what's going to happen is in the inspector you're going to see a build in and build out option there. Those translate in Final Cut Pro 10. If you have them toggled you get the animation. If you have it toggled off then it picks the effect up from here. Likewise if you have the build out then it'll just go out without the flip. And it doesn't really matter what happens in here as long as it's stationary, because Final Cut Pro 10 will just squish this up. Or will it? Or will it just take the end off here? No, it'll squish it up, won't it? Oh, well, let's find out. So let's publish this. Let's save. Okay, back in Final Cut Pro 10, that's our old one. And then let's drop the new one on there and spread it out. There we've got the comes in. And then it goes out. Now that's obviously a lot longer than it looks. That let's blow the timeline up a bit. Comes in. If I bring this right down, so we go, comes in, and animates out. Now, why did I split those two ramps? Because what I want to do is I want to be able to do a change of the text. So this might work, this might not. So that's the first text, and the second text. Let's go, has this worked? Okay, let's kind of, has this been okay? So now when I play this back, you get, comes in, flips round, and it's been okay. There you go. Now you can keep doing this as long as you like, because just to prove it, we can pick this thing up and put one on the end to go back to our original. You could actually drop it in the primary storyline should you wish. So flips up. Nice acceleration. This has been okay. Insert your text here, and you can keep going and going and going and going. But back to the build in and build out. If you go to the title, if you want this to stay up at the end and you don't want it to animate off, likewise, if you don't want it to animate on, by turning the build in and build out off, then it's just a static graphic. I'm actually rather pleased I did that first time. It looks great, doesn't it? And because you've got the light on there, it goes dark. You get that nice dark effect when it goes around the back. Okie dokes. Now, I actually pinched a background here, which I rather like, which is going to show this thing up. And it's from our news graphics that we sell, this type of thing, which is kind of like a picture-in-picture and a 2-box, and it's this actual background that we're using here. So what happens if I drop this on here? Because you can build anything on black, can't you? There you go. It's all working fine. Let's just move that. Okay, let's go for something really, let's try it out. Let's go for the middle box, but make it higher. Okay, let's see what happens. Perfect. But we've got the build in, build out on that, haven't we? We need to toggle those on like that. And also, while we're here, just because we can, let's go and pick red. We get that animation. And that will keep going as long as you want. And that tips back in red and then comes back in blue, which is really interesting as well, isn't it? So it does the change. So there you go. I hope you learned something. I did. I mean, I like doing these because it stretches my mind. I have to think about the geometry and the offsets, the pixels, etc. And I always like math problems, so I like doing them. And the response we've had has been pretty tremendous as well. As I said, the video conferencing had over 1,000 downloads on the first day. So this is published as a free effect. So please go to our Industrial Revolution to download it. There's probably a link in the description below and probably something on the screen saying please go ahead and download it. What I might do as well, I might put some bells and whistles on the plugin, a few things maybe that you can alter as well, like position, etc. We'll see how that works. But there you go, another free plugin, another free tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. As we said, please subscribe, give us a like, comments are always welcome. What should we build next, I suppose. And hope to see you on the next one. Bye bye.